Welcome to Climb English. Before we begin, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Today, you are not just going to hear a story. You are going to step into a journey, one filled with pain, hope, and strength. These are not just words. They carry real emotions, real lessons, and a truth that may speak directly to your own heart. My name is Sarah. I am 29 years old, and I live in a small town near the mountains. This is not just a story for me. This is my life. Every word I share comes from a place deep inside, where joy and pain have lived side by side. I never thought I would have the courage to speak it aloud, but today, I open my heart because maybe someone out there needs to hear it. Maybe right now you feel tired of fighting battles no one else can see. Maybe you feel invisible, like your voice does not matter. Perhaps you carry a blame you never deserved, or a pain you cannot explain. I know that weight because I have carried it too. And yet, I am still here. If I could survive the nights when I thought the world had forgotten me, then maybe you can survive your darkest nights as well. This is why I share my story. Not because it is easy, but because I believe someone, somewhere, needs to know they are not alone. I once believed that love could never break. I thought trust was unshakable, that if you gave your heart fully, it would be safe in the hands of someone who promised to protect it. That was how I felt about David, the man I married. For years, I trusted him with every part of me. I thought he would stand by me no matter what storms life brought. But one day, everything I believed shattered in a single moment. I still remember his eyes, cold, distant, almost like a stranger's. His words cut deeper than any knife. "I don't think this child is mine." At that time, I was carrying our first baby. My whole body froze, my heart pounded in my chest, and I could not breathe. The man I once called my safe place suddenly became the one who destroyed me. But the wound went even deeper. He accused me of betraying him with his closest friend. His jealousy turned innocent gestures into weapons. A kind message, a simple act of support, became evidence in his mind. There was no space for truth, no chance for me to explain. In that instant, he chose suspicion over love, and with that choice, our marriage began to collapse. What I thought was forever started to crumble, and the foundation I had built my life upon turned into dust beneath my feet. I believed my family would protect me, that when the world turned against me, they would open their arms and hold me close. But when I told them what had happened, their words struck me harder than any stranger's judgment. My mother's voice was sharp, filled with anger. "You made your bed, now lie in it," she said. My father stood beside her, silent, his eyes empty, his lips pressed tight. That silence cut me even deeper than her words. It was as if I had disappeared in front of them, as if I no longer existed in their eyes. In one single week, I lost everything I thought I could not live without. I lost my husband, I lost my home, I lost the support of my family. Nights became endless, and fear pressed down on me like a stone I could not lift. I cried until there were no tears left, until the sound of my own sobbing felt like a stranger's voice echoing in the darkness. But the worst pain was not the betrayal, or even the loss. The worst pain was the loneliness, the unbearable silence of having no one to stand beside me, no hand to hold when the ground beneath me gave way. Sometimes the deepest wounds are not carved by enemies, but by those who should have loved you the most. For a long time, I believed the pain was proof that I had failed, that I was not enough as a wife, a daughter, or even as a woman. But slowly, a new thought began to grow inside me like a whisper I could not ignore. Maybe the problem was never me. Maybe the storm that destroyed my life was born from someone else's fear, anger, and doubt. That realization was like a small crack of light breaking through a wall of darkness. One night, when the weight on my chest felt too heavy to bear, I looked at a photo of myself smiling, taken long before the pain began. I promised that broken girl I would not give up. I promised I would fight, not only for the child growing inside me, but for the woman I once was and the woman I still hoped to become. The next day, a soft knock sounded at my door. It was Anna, my neighbor. She didn't ask questions. She simply looked at me with eyes full of kindness and said, "You are not alone." In that moment, the walls inside me cracked, and I finally let my tears fall into the hands of someone who cared. From that day on, Anna became more than just a neighbor. She became a friend, a sister, a light in my darkness. She invited me into her kitchen, where the smell of freshly baked bread filled the air, and asked me to help her knead the dough. At first, my hands trembled, weak from nights of hunger and days of despair. But as I pressed the dough beneath my palms, something inside me began to shift. For the first time in months, I felt useful, alive, present. I started baking in my tiny kitchen. Just a few cookies at first, then loaves of bread, and soon small boxes of cupcakes. I gave them to neighbors, to children on the street, to anyone who needed a little sweetness in their day. Slowly, people began to know me not as the woman who was left behind, but as the girl with the cupcakes. Each smile from a customer, each kind word from a stranger, stitched another piece of my broken heart back together. With Anna's encouragement, I turned this small spark into something greater. What began as a distraction from pain grew into a small business, a purpose, a reason to wake up each morning. Baking became my therapy, my prayer, my way of saying to the world, I am still here. I am not defeated. One evening, as the smell of warm bread filled my kitchen, my phone rang. The screen lit up with a name I had not seen in months. David. My hands trembled as I picked it up, my heart racing with memories I thought I had buried. His voice was heavy, weighed down with guilt. "Sarah," he said, "I made a mistake. The baby is mine. I was wrong." For a moment, silence wrapped around me. I felt the sting of every memory, every night I had cried alone because of his doubt. My heart beat faster, but my voice was calm. "You did not just question me, David. You abandoned me when I needed you most. You left me to fight alone. I do not miss the man who walked away. I miss the woman I used to be, the one who believed, the one who laughed freely. You broke her." Then, with steady hands, I ended the call. No anger, no tears, just peace. Because in that moment, I knew he was no longer my future. He was only a chapter in my past. Not long after, my baby girl was born. The first time I held her in my arms, every tear, every sleepless night, every moment of fear faded into silence. She was so small, so perfect, her tiny fingers wrapping around mine with a strength far greater than her size. In her eyes, I saw hope. In her cry, I heard the sound of a new beginning. She was not just my child, she was my second chance at life. Days were still hard, money was still tight, but with her beside me, every struggle carried a purpose. Each loaf I baked, each cupcake I sold was no longer about survival. It was about building a future for her, a world where love and courage would outweigh pain and doubt. As I watched her grow, I realized that the darkest nights had given birth to my brightest morning. The woman I once thought was lost had returned, stronger, braver, and more alive than before. And all of it began with a single choice: not to give up. Through all of this, I learned something I will never forget. The hardest battles we fight are not against other people, but against the fears inside our own hearts. Sometimes the ones you love will not stand beside you, and the ones you trust may walk away. But that does not mean you are weak. Strength can come from places you never expected. Hope can shine even in the darkest night. And kindness, even in the smallest form, can save a life. If my story touched your heart, remember this. You are stronger than your pain, and your darkest night can still lead to your brightest morning. Never stop climbing, never stop believing, and don't forget to like and subscribe to Climb English.